Hey guys, this is Average Gatsby, and I'm bringing to you Adepting through Insanity, how I play some of the hardest parts of the Insanity campaign with the Adept. So I'm level 9, and I've got level 4 Heavy Warp, and level 3 Singularity, 1 point in Biotic Mastery, 1 point in Energy Drain, which you won't see. Then I brought Mortem with me for his Incineration Blast. That's the AoE version of Incineration. And he's got a level 2 Solarian Scientist just to help keep him alive a little bit longer. And then I've got Miranda, who's got Area Overload, which is, more for other missions, but she also has level 2 Warp, which I will be using extensively. And then her Cerberus Operative, which is only giving me a squad bonus of 2.5%. So I picked this mission on Insanity because I feel that Horizon is a very tough campaign. Mainly because you have access to so few of your upgrades, and you're usually at such a low level you don't really have all of your abilities, because it tends to be more advisable on Insanity to max out one ability than just sort of run a rainbow of a variety of abilities. So you notice I set my 2 squad mates up here, and this is because I've found that with Shepard hiding at this spot and my squad mates at this position, the enemy AI will almost refuse to try to come up those staircases, and instead they'll sort of hang out in the back and try to make their way up onto this ledge. And you'll see that I get a lot of hits because they're just trying to climb over the ledge. So right here, what my most basic strategy is to hit an enemy with Singularity, and then while they're distracted, to remove their barrier or their shield. And then after that barrier or shield is removed, to hit them with either a warp of my own or Miranda's warp. Because what I've found is that the warp Singularity combo is so much more powerful than simply spamming warp. You see right here I caught 2 of them with Singularity, so I just go for the area incineration right there, but there's still a few left. But back to my point on the Singularity Warp combo. First of all, it's good for my character to use Singularity more often than Warp because the cooldown is so short. Singularity only has a 4.5 second cooldown. Warp has a 6-second cooldown. There you go. This is case in point of my strategy right here. So they walk right in, and then I send out right there. I only need to use my own warp, and it kills him in 1 hit when he's down to his health. Now, I would not have killed him in 1 hit had I just sent out warp, had he not been trapped in my Singularity field. That is the great advantage. Biotics are meant to be used in concert with each other. And that's something that is especially important when you're playing on Insanity difficulty. You've got to always keep in mind, how can you set up combinations? Where should you lay down that Singularity so that the enemy has to walk through a certain point? Now I notice here my allies are just crouching. They won't advance past this area until Shepard falls down. But once Shepard does come down, they'll come to their spots. So right here I picked this spot because once again they're going to try to funnel up the middle. And this is when you're going to see Singularity's great effectiveness at fighting husks. See, what I've done is, as soon as Singularity hits the husks that have been reduced to just health because of the area incineration, it kills them instantly. Now, if you notice, I just used warp on that husk, and it did very little damage. But had I thrown a Singularity, that husk would have been killed. I don't really know why it works like that, but any ability that lifts husks off their feet, be it Concussive Blast, Shockwave, or Pull, or Singularity, those are all 1-hit kills for husk. Another thing you'll notice is that I sort of set up a trap for the husks. The advantage of Singularity is that it acts not only as a crowd control spell, if you will. And here I am using the nuke again and taking him out very quickly and getting some extra damage on one of the collectors there from the explosion. But Singularity acts as almost the equivalent of laying down a trap in any sort of fantasy RPG. It creates an area on the map where the enemy cannot walk through without either being, disrupted, and by disrupted I mean, distracted. It looks like someone who's being meleeed, or just being outright totally disconnected from the fight. And you can lay those down, so later on in the vid I'm going to be shooting singularities at the ground when I'm fighting a variety, when I'm fighting a bunch of husks. So right here I had a weird issue. I think I went into the console or something like that, but I lost the ability to do anything besides the mouse. But I was just showing that even though there was a cut, I am still playing on Insanity. And I'm just going to walk around here, pick up some ammo and money before I go on to the next section. One thing I want to say about this group, I've picked this group I picked this group specifically for the combat, only for the abilities of Incinerate and Warp. There's no other reasoning behind it. I didn't pick them because I like them, although I like every character. But I'm trying to have the most effective squad at this point in the game. Now your squad will advance to this position, but they will usually take shots. Sometimes they don't hear at that collector. It's very important to take down that collector right away if you're going to hide at this spot, because if you see where Miranda is placed right now, that collector can very easily get into a position of cover and shoot your squad mates in the back. Right here, setting up the nuke again, and kills him in one hit with a level 2 warp once he's in that singularity. Had she just used just warp on him, it would have done some damage, but he would have been able to do some damage back. This is a tricky spot to hide in. I tend to like to get out of it as soon as possible, because it's almost luck of the draw if I'm going to be on a good side or a bad side when it comes to popping out from behind cover. So right here, I'm I just kind of keep this spot and keep my guys with the pressure on them, throwing out singularities when there's an enemy that I feel can be particularly damaging. But it's really all about that neutralization. Just taking people out of the fight. And right there, he falls back into singularity and back into my submachine gun fire. And I was pretty excited that happened. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about right here. Now that's a level 4 warp. And did you see how so little health was taken off? But earlier, you saw that the combination of singularity and warp with Miranda, who's only using a level 2 warp, killed a drone in one hit once it had been reduced to health. Alright, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. This section is kind of funny on Insanity because it's almost random how many guys will be hiding back here by the end of the fight. I've come back here and there's been one collector drone, but this time I come back, there's 3. And there's 3 collector drones. So I think, I don't know if they're hiding in another spot on the battle, but and they were supposed to come around, and that's how it works. I can't say for sure. There's only one guy left, and now warp is very effective at taking out those barriers. I mean, it just one shot, and then I follow up with the nuke right here. So this concludes the first part of the video. Please rate, comment, and subscribe.